So apparently everyone wants to be a ninja. Ugh. But which one of these ninja games are worth your time, or at least was worth your time at some point? Well, don't do a search on Steam for Ninja, please, just don't do it. But don't worry guys, I have you covered with a list of some of the best ninja games throughout history. And if I don't mention your favorite ninja game, just hit yourself over the head with your nunchucks. Or let me know in the comment section what's your favorite ninja game. Yeah, that's totally what I meant. So our journey starts with Ninja Gaiden on the NES. Yes, this is old, yes I know. Ryu's dad is killed and he sets out for revenge. And trust me, this was the Death Stare meme way before the Death Stare meme started. It was a 2D side-scroller platformer with some super iconic cutscenes. In 1987 we got Shinobi, which literally means ninja. An arcade game, yes arcade, it's like this big console in a box and it eats spare change, that's not the point. But it was a bit less platforming than maybe Ninja Gaiden had, but played very similar to that game, with these shuriken mini games to kind of mix things up. Now in 1989 we got Strider, and oh boy did my mom hate this game, because it was parked right at the exit of our local grocery store, and as a kid I would just stop and stare at this thing. Now Strider added a little bit more sci-fi elements than maybe Ninja Gaiden and Shinobi did, with more focus on mobility, and it had this really awesome directional combat system. Now 1989 brought us Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and yes, it has ninja in the title, it counts. A very simple platformer, and not really the full movement Double Dragon like beat 'em up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game that you're probably used to. This actually came before that. And then we got Killer Instinct in 1994. I know, again, not a ninja game, but Jago, am I right? This was my favorite character in that game, and I played him a lot, so it's a ninja game, whatever. Now, another fighting game is Dead or Alive, which appeared around 1996, made by Team Ninja. I'm sure you've heard of those guys. And it launched as a full 3D fighter on the heels of some of the great Tekken years of 3D fighting games, with its own set of 3D assets. Now, I know many people are going to be familiar with the Shadow Warrior game from 2013, and the sequel coming really soon. It looks really awesome so far. But don't forget that these games are a remake of the original Shadow Warrior released back in 1997. A first-person shooter with ninja elements ripped right from the Doom days of early 3D first-person shooters. And then in 1998 we got Tenchu, and oh boy, I love this game. A third-person 3D ninja game with stealth elements nearly 20 years ago. This is crazy. And a little known fact, Tenchu actually came out 6 months before the original Metal Gear Solid. Now, Metal Gear Solid is one of the most iconic stealth games of our time, and this came out 6 months before it. That is just crazy once I realized that. Now, speaking of Metal Gear Solid, we can't forget about the iconic Metal Ninja Gray Fox. He wasn't really the star of the game, but still a very memorable ninja character, and I had to mention him. Now, 2003 brought Naruto Clash of Ninja based on the popular manga series. It had an amazing blend of some of the traditional fighting mechanics along with some crazy over-the-top animations just like the manga. Shinobi Way of the Ninja released in 2005. Now I know what you're thinking, what the heck is this? Well, if you live in the US, we never actually got this game, which is unfortunate. It was made by the same people who created Tenchu, which is very clear, it looks very similar to that game. And they also created another game very similar called Way of the Samurai, if you can remember that one. Now next up is Mini Ninjas, and this is a bit more of a light-hearted approach to ninjas. Well, as light-hearted as you can get with a brutal assassin game. It's third person, it has combat and stealth mechanics, and it's a bit more kid friendly, but overall it's still very similar to the traditional stealth format of many ninja games. And in 2012 we got Mark of the Ninja, a very different experience for its time. A 2D platformer with a bit more strategy using light and sound for some of its stealth elements. And Mark of the Ninja is from the same team that made Shank, a very similar 2D action game. Now, if you liked Gray Fox from the original Metal Gear Solid all those years ago, well, 2013 saw the release of Revengeance, dialing the whole over-the-top ninja combat way up to 11. It's a spectacle fighter very reminiscent of things like Devil May Cry, and oh boy, this thing is so flashy, and that Rex mech boss fight is just unreal. Also in 2013, another game opened its doors for anyone to download it, although you probably never heard of this game. It's a little thing called Warframe. It's got ninjas, well, space ninjas anyway, if you can kind of imagine that without actually playing the game. And tons of weapons, modifications for your characters, and I have to say, one of the best parkour systems in gaming to date. So far, it's been really cool to check out the history of ninjas in video games, really leading up to eventually the game Warframe that I've covered so much on this channel. And there have been some really cool releases in the last 3 or so years that still feature ninjas, like Blade Symphony in 2014, a third-person combat game with really crazy amounts of combat customization and combo tweaks. 10 Second Ninja, a frustrating but still amazing 2D puzzle game where reflexes and muscle memory matter just as much as knowing the solution to the actual puzzle. Ronin from 2015, a 2D combat strategy game much like Mark of the Ninja, but it's more focused on the actual bullet time moment of combat itself, a lot like Super Hot. And finally, the modern day iconic Robo Ninja himself, Genji. And even though he isn't the main character, many competitive matches are just going to devolve into Overwatch starring Genji with a colorful cast of characters that just died from his ult. So that's it for ninja games. Let me know in the comment section which one of these games that you guys played and enjoyed. Also, if I missed any of your favorite ninja games, please hit yourself with your nunchucks. Let me know what that game is and I'll definitely go check it out.